Good morning, everyone. I'm glad you came. I was probably like everyone else watching the burial of Queen Elizabeth II. So I'm glad you came today. So much happening in the world, right? And the best we can do for ourselves is to be here within ourselves and keep that magic of love running inside, right? So good morning, Chase. And good morning, Christina. Good morning, Kathy. And let's hope others will keep coming. So let's do our beginning as we call in Mother and Father God, all the ascended masters and the angels, and ask them to come in to bless all of us in our light. And we'll say our mantra. I am the soul. I am the light divine. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design. Very good. And feel that inside your soul. I'm wondering if you're all starting to feel more with that. Good morning, Anik. That would be wondrous. So, I guess you noticed we got our background up. We could not make it to where you could see all my treasures. So, I'll have to put them up on the community page. This one's kind of peeking through. This is Lady Tara. So you can see her. We talked about her coming that one day, Lady Tara. Yeah, there she is. The serenity on her face. Remember, she helps those who are suffering. She comes in on a lotus, first to the chakras, and helps with the chakras. This is an apophyllite that's green for all the little earthly beings. And I have a large apophyllite on the other side. And the one other thing that you may not have seen is for those who'd like to work with angels, it's called a ahawite. Now, this is a large one. Here's the quartz part. The blue is the ahawite. This is quite a large specimen. And yes, I always keep the words on. This has been from the Messina mine. So there's not much of the turquoise, but any piece you get of ahawite is going to have a little bit of the blue and a lot more quartz. There's not something wrong with that. That is how it is, see? But very powerful to have you get in contact. See how it's shifting my light? Have you get in touch with the angelic kingdom. And I'll just show you one more that was fascinating to me when I saw it. And this is from India. It's an ascension dove. Almost look like a shell. But that's what you meditate with this stone with, is ascension. Powerful, right? So we were gifted in that we traveled around the country doing weekends, giving out the Babaji Bija seeds, meditations. So we would meet a lot of people that had very unique findings. And as our collection grew, it would kind of seem like it would just find us. So those are a few of my things. Let me see. probably none others that I can lift up and show you right now. But I'll be putting it up on my community page. How's that? So my question today is, Jesus spoke. We've had a couple powerful days, but then we kind of had no time or ran out of time. And I just wondered if there were questions that brought up for anyone. And let's see, Cavell, good morning. Prime 3, good morning. Carol, good morning. And Marby. Our community has shown up today on this blessed day. So, Jesus was profound. I think Barbara, I don't know if she's here, had commented that she had to contemplate on it. So it made me feel that was probably making you think, making you have to contemplate how you are in your world with people who appear negative or downhearted or not perhaps living the best that they can. And it's to see, I'll remind you, Jesus had written it was seeing beyond the negative into the beautiful light. He'd written this note to me what he wanted to talk about that day. So, any questions is where I want to go instead of just talking, and then it's not really having a conversation, you see? Conversations with Mother TheoSophia. So did any of those spawn thoughts that you thought about them later, or you wondered about it? No. One day I was working and they said to me I needed to find a piece of jade for in front of my computer for negativity. And look how I found this. Jade. So sometimes you just need to put it out there what you want. Isn't it beautiful? And then it just sits here as my protective energy. I'm going to show you this stone, and you probably won't believe, but this is a lapis with some other few things in it. It's a beautiful, more of a blended color. I like ones that I hold in my hand. And the tiger eye. This is my personal stone. Her name's Illuminata. My friend that we met sent it to me, knew it was mine. And you see how it just fits in my hand? That's how you can tell if you have a lot of things to choose from. It's the one that fits in your hand and is comfortable. Okay? Because then you can sit for an hour or two with it and you lose track that you're holding on to something. So I see no one's writing me a thought. So let's talk about why crystals are beneficial to having around you. You know, when I started on my journey 30 some years ago, crystals made no sense to me. But the only reason that was true is that I didn't have an experience of them. And then I found if I went into a store, I was like, I couldn't even think, couldn't move around. So I knew something was happening. And the journey began. And when we started to communicate with each other, I could understand what they were for and how they would help me. And so I'm going to suggest to all of you, that you attempt to find crystals that are in harmony with you. Now, a lot of people talk about Lemurians. Why are Lemurians important? Because they have sacred writings in them that the Lemurians wrote in each crystal to save the understandings that happened there. And if you're someone that gets to where you have that gift and can read that, it's very powerful to understand, because you can always go inside your crystal and see what it has in store for you inside. That's what I learned, is there's just so much more than just this crystal. This one is not an ultramarine, but if you can see, there's ridges of writing on it, on the sides there. And it has a rainbow. Let me see if I can find it. All those things speak things to you. See, there's a mountain cliff. No, it's not going to show it. Some things are left quiet. So, you want to put crystals on your notes, because ones that attract people are always different. It doesn't matter. You know, the rose quartz is for love, if that's something you're wanting more in your life. What you might want to do is go on one of the crystal pages on YouTube and discover what they all do. Tiger eye, that is the Dalai Lama's stone. He wears, they've always worn throughout time. So that was a very powerful thing. See how it shines? It's very balancing, and it opens up the higher part of you. Something that you shared with us on Thursday really stuck with me all these past days. You can be sensitive without being empathic. That's what we were doing today. See, I didn't even remember. Thank you, Christina. I've been trying to feel into this state of being. Well, I will answer that question. When someone's empathic, they believe that it means they get taken over by other people's energy. Would you agree? Like, I have people tell me, well, I really don't think I could really get into a healing with someone, because whatever's theirs, then I take it home. Exactly. And it's completely false. It's, as you grow, you need to become master of all things within you. Being sensitive does not mean then you're tormented through life with everybody else's stuff. It means you haven't learned how to create a boundary, and that everyone else's stuff is their own, and that isn't how you are a healer. It isn't by taking on their stuff and feeling it and experiencing it and what's going on. No, you have to heighten those gifts within yourself and let everyone's energy stay the same. They stay them, and you stay you. And it's a whole healing process to not, it's a desire within you to have them, and you might not believe that. Come on over. Here, I'll take care of you. And that's entirely wrong. It is never going to be that you are going to take care of them. It's the God within you that is. And God doesn't need their energy. You don't need their energy. You want to change that word sensitive to intuitive, guided. And the way I have people set up their energy does not allow you to be taken over, ever. That is a victim. Saying you're empathic and like you fully agree, that's being a victim. You're being a victim to not being able to really tune into anyone because they take you over. And I'm sure that's not your intention. But you have to deepen that awareness. It's not allowed. You know, I've worked with gazillions of people, and they stay where they are when I'm done, and I leave, and I'm free to live my own life. That's truly what a healer that's trained would work like. So I want you to think about that for a moment. And where is that patterning shifted or needs to be shifted inside you? Because people are excited that they're empathic, but then they have that victim piece. So don't be happy about being a victim. It's not necessary to be able to be in tune and leave it where it is. It's not necessary. It's not how it's done. Let me see what else I can explain. Even if I don't really work hands-on anymore, but when I did, still was not a worry. My beingness, see, your body is yours, and that's one of the first and most important things to have an agreement with yourself that you're maintaining who you are, boundaries. So you can have a boundary that says anyone that you go to work on, you'll be willing to offer God's light through, but you're not taking it home with you. So then there's another problem that comes is that the person feels so much better, they want to go with you. You still have to be strong and let that energy stay where it is. Can you see the whole conflict there in how healing might think it looks like, but it isn't your job to be responsible for people. That's another truth about healing. Whether or not, it's never that you're wrong. It's about whether or not the individual is willing to take the light you offer them. And if they have so many issues about people and you become them, because usually the healer becomes the issue, just so you know. They may just say, oh, nothing happened. But what you have to do is hold the truth, and you know God's light came through you and that you touched them. And then maybe you need to work on, in some way, depending on what the person's like, them beginning to be willing to know that God can help them. If you need to use the angels are more than willing for you to use the angelic beings to work with this person. But to be empathic, I don't know where it came from, but if you want to be a true healer and work effectively and be able to let a large massive light of God to work through you, then you can't be yourself connected into, oh, well, I'm empathic. Well, no, you have a gift. And if you're in alignment and prepared in the proper way, God will work through you. It's not about you doing something. It's about the vessel you're creating that lets God come and work through your vessel. And your vessel needs to not allow anyone else to come into its energy field. Any questions about that? So you can be sensitive and have a gift without being empathic, without thinking that you're picking up every little spare energy of someone walking by you. No, you have to learn how to have your boundary, and nothing is allowed to interrupt the truth of who you are. Absolutely nothing. And as you build that strongly inside yourself, that's how it will be. So, Christina, respond with me what you feel about that. Or anybody. There was someone else. Was it Barbara? I don't see her here today. See, we redid my room. I didn't have my paper in front of me where I wrote that note. No. Are you there, Christina? And I understand some empathic people really think they're powerful because they can say that, but that isn't being powerful. Not at all. It's not about you having to, when God offers light to an individual, it's to raise their consciousness higher, to move above the pattern that you're working on. It isn't about empowering you and the ego that you can do something. Two different things. Some people will say to me, well, how does that feel to be able to do that? And I go, I am the vessel. God does the energy. God makes the changes or offers it to them. So God goes into an individual and works in a unique way. It's hard to even explain. That's what true healing is you working to become the vessel, which is different than being empathic. The empathic believes they've done something and the people come with them, and that's not it. Anyone going to comment with me? Wow, silence. That really gave you something to think about, didn't it? I've known people who are empathic and then become great healers. It's a difference in shifting. That do not let what is not mine in my field without my permission. So part of your issue is that when you speak, it's from a God place, a master place that says this is how it's going to be. So you have a pattern there that's letting you say, well, it's like the person who wants to put the ego in the heart and say, oh, well, it still comes out. The ego's not getting out. You're letting it out, just like here. You're letting your field be touched by them, and you have to find out why. You don't understand it subconsciously. Well, how else would it be happening? So let me see what you said. You don't want what's not yours in your field. Yes. So tell me that thought, how much in truth that is for you today. And I'll count. So the statement that I do not let what is not mine in my field without my permission. So I'm going to count from 0 to 100 to see how much truth that is for you today, okay? And I don't know, did you take a test? I get 27. That's not very strong. That's how I know there's something subconscious that's in the way, not allowing. And you know, sweetie, it's not that you always know. That's what healing's about. We cannot always do our own healing or there wouldn't be healers in the world. I myself see things very deeply. And what you haven't done is haven't sufficiently worked on that deep enough to let it go. Perhaps it's about a loneliness. I don't know. But that's a pattern that needs to be healed. And you all need to understand we have patterns. That's why there's 144,000 pieces of us. And why we're here on earth, because there's so many of those, you have decided to heal this life. So when and if you get on that journey, it's a powerful journey because you begin to become someone that you didn't even think you could be. And more light keeps happening, and that's how you raise your consciousness. So right here is a perfect example for Christina. And being able to measure some of the patterns to how their percentage is what? The 100% ones? So let's do this. Let's see what percentage it is that I allow subconsciously people to move through my boundaries. Okay, the opposite thought. See, that's 100%. Stronger than even, well, they're both pretty strong, but two opposite ways of looking at the same thing, saying something needs to be touched and healed. Because I know, Christina, you can be a powerful vessel, but you're never going to be that which is meant to be if you're still empathic. When you're allowing other people to tell you in your energy field what to do. some of the greatest statements are that this is my body. No one else is allowed other than Mother, Father, and any one of its angelic kingdom or what came into this world with you. That's it. Never, 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 never. Anything, anybody else. And that's why you have a joy guide. It's going to let you know if there's a problem and somebody else is getting in there. You don't want that. It's called finding clarity. Clarity means you can go up and down your entire channel and there won't be any little dust buggies anywhere. Or to go out through your chakras. I mean, if you don't have that, that's the goal of what you're working towards. That influence that can come from, even from a family member. If they really touch your heart and you feel bad for them, well, you got a dust bunny about them. Instead, you need to know that everybody has their things and they come for a reason and there's a lesson in it and they're being a little resistant to want to look at it, but don't take it on. All you can do is give them the light to let them find their way. Because let's think about it, folks. We always do end up working things out. Now, it may not always be the way you want it, but there is usually a lesson that's very clear that comes forth. Anybody else have an input about this? Are you still all here? Well, I'm glad it came up that way because that's what the journey really is. It's about being a vessel, working for God, being in service. You know, it's not about whatever this other thing says to you. Here's Kathy. I was at a function and drawn to go outside. There was a woman in a wheelchair, and after saying hello, she started talking to me. She told me a story about seeing her husband and son in heaven. Yeah. And how did you walk away from that meeting? I don't want to assume. Barbie says she's here. Did you need to write again to put more up, Kathy? Well, let me tell you what I would do if someone starts to talk to that. My entire field goes out and enlightens, full of light. Also, sending them blessings. Nothing that's going to bring anything back to me. I don't have to take her story home with me. But the light I radiate is between God and her. They told her she had to go back. She said she knew I would understand. I touched her hand lightly, and she smiled. Okay. I would probably not have touched her hand because that triggers. Anytime someone touches you, there's a cord, no matter who it is. So I'm very, especially being who I am, I do not touch and don't always hug people. And you're going to tell me there are the huggy mamas, but I don't know if they do hands-on healing. I don't know what all they do. But for me, touching is a cord. So if that cord's still there, you might want to call in Archangel Michael right now and release that cord, because she doesn't need any of your energy of whatever's going to be happening for her. So people in heaven were telling her to go to heaven, I guess is what you're saying. I'm sure she was touched by your beautiful light, but I'm here talking about how to maintain your clarity in your world, and now then wonder, well, why am I thinking that? Well, that doesn't feel like me. Have you ever had those thoughts, anybody? Wow. When a person chords you, their energy is now moving back and forth, giving you energy and taking your energy. We don't want that. So you want to have Archangel Michael go through your chakras, one front and back, and pull out all the cords that aren't you. I guarantee you, if it's a practice you haven't been doing, you're going to feel different. And you're going to feel more like you. I bet it was amazing. But it would have been amazing just by allowing the light of God to expand out around you and to wish her blessings. And can you feel the cord still on your hand? This is when people get exhausted because they've taken on a lot of other people's stuff. It's just not energy. There's stuff in that. I can see my fields really reacting to this. So I think that's very powerful. And I can feel your energy is very powerful, Kathy. But what I want you to know, I'm not telling you to not allow your light. I'm just saying you don't have to touch people. I always thought that when you come from a place of love, you'll always be protected by its power. Do you believe that 100%, Chase? You see, there's truth, like with Christina, wasn't 100% a truth for her. It's something you make a truth, but until you really work through it and understood it, if that's the truth for you, then it will be. But what you also learn is as you're going to learn that truth, you will understand the respect and the sacredness of the light you hold. Oh, you're saying, yes, you do, that you believe. So let me test. So I'm not saying the statement's not true. I'm checking if you believe it 100%. Okay? Again, it's like 30%. Are you able to muscle test and test percentages? See right here, we're finding today the stumbling block of why you're not moving further than what you want. Because you're not going deeper beyond that what is and discovering what is the issues about that. So, if I was doing a session for you, Chase, I would look at the level of love you're at right now. A lot of things. Oh, I got dead silence. You know, there's a lot to healing. You know, I've been doing it for 30-some years. And yeah, I used to be at this place. Did a lot of healings. And then as I grew finally levels, then you have a different perceptions of what it really is and what love really is and what truth really is. Those are all words that are powerful to learn. You just can't assume that you have them. Let me think if I know that when you come from a place of love, I probably would have not used those words. It's when my love and my heart is full and expansive. And when your heart is in love and expansive, I would be protective. But I've also learned that other people who may look like they aren't always who they are. And for the full protection, I am more careful. It's out of respect for who I am. I understand the world you believe you live in, but the more light you become, the more there are those who want your light. So it's best to just protect it. That is my guidance from the heavens. All right. Any last statement? Or you have a lot to think about today, right? Because of how I've discovered these things, I can go in through the DNA and look through the different levels. Thank you, Kathy. Anywhere through all your chakras, just ask him to do it, and you'll see how different you feel. What was I saying? So through all the years and working with some great healers, more so on the higher realm, there's a lot that takes part and has to shift in you to become a healer. Healer isn't just someone that has a technique and you do it in your works. Healing, you're welcome, Cavell. Healing is about understanding what makes the dysfunction. Someone may come in and tell me they have a broken arm, but that isn't what the healing's about. You have to look and see why is the arm broken? What made it happen in their thought process? It's all about thoughts. All about thoughts. And then you have to find, well, and that'll come to you as you get quiet. Not if you're an empath, because they're going to send to you what you want. So when you find what it is that needs to be cleared, then you have multiple things that usually you have in your toolbox to choose from. But in the end result, there will be a clarity. And you'll be able to ask, and there'll be nothing left of that pattern once you find that one. Now, there may be more of them gathered for the same one. That is what healing is. You need to start somewhere and start moving them. So that's a little discussion and conversation about healing, which started with empaths, and I think a little bit of respect, and maybe I'll talk a little bit more about that, because my school is based on respect, honor, and sacredness. 3 things you must have about yourself, whatever level you're at, and so that it can grow. Because when you discover those things within yourself, you will then discover those things within other people. And that's how you'll help and support them even deeper. Because there becomes a respect over the whole healing, that it's a powerful thing. It's in a state of grace of what's coming. So, tomorrow's going to be another juicy day too. So think of what comments you might want to put in to take it further. And I'll be here. Many blessings. I hope you all have a great day. And we'll give blessings to the Queen Elizabeth II and her journey to the heavens. And many blessings.